Well, hello, kids. We got a lot of kids visiting with us here today, and we're going to be having a good time. Aren't we, kids? Aren't we? Sure we are. We're going to be having a great time. All right, kids, I want you to gather around close now. I want to tell you something very special. Certainly you do.
Good, you can learn.
Mixing and scratching and beat juggle with the turntable split and the mixer in the middle.
But first we'll discuss
the mixer and the 12.
Boom, that was dope.
Yeah, okay, all right. Well, no, wait just a moment. We're ready to go now. Here we go.
When I first started out, I had 2 different turntables. My mixer was, horrible. It was just not good equipment, but it still gave me the opportunity to learn and to get started and start the ball moving and to see if this is something that I really wanted to pursue. It is better to get some professional equipment and to get, your Technics 1200s or whatever, something comparable, or, a nice mixer, and that saves the whole pain of it. But at the same time, it helped me build a stronger appreciation for the equipment, because at first I had to deal with some equipment that really was not good.
If the equipment's right, then you'll get the best out of me. That's
right.
First, we're going to talk about the equipment you need to be a DJ and how to hook it up. Okay, first you need at least 2 turntables, and today we're using Technics 1200 MK2 turntables, which are pretty much industry standard turntables you find at pretty much every club and every event that you'll play out at. So if you practice on them at home, you'll be prepared. And they're very sturdy, one of the most sturdiest turntables. There's other turntables out there made by other companies, but we're going to use Technics today. Then you also need a DJ mixer, and you put that in between the 2 turntables. And today the mixer we're going to use is the Stanton SK2 mixer. It's a 2-channel mixer, and it has a 3-band EQ, which we'll discuss later, high, mids, and lows. Okay, the turntable has 3 chords. It has 3 wires that you need to know. First is the RCAs that controls the right and left. So that's how you hear the right and left of what's playing out of the turntable, the right and left sides, so it comes out of the right and left speaker. And then you also have the ground, which is a little skinny wire with the metal piece on the end. And when you plug that in, that grounds the turntable so it doesn't feed back. And then you have the power cord, which plugs into your power strip for power. So, you take these cords and you plug them into the associating holes on the mixer. Right here, since this turntable is on the right, we're going to want to plug it into the right channel, which is channel 2 on this mixer. So we plug them into the phono line. There's also a line, 2 holes for line, but we want it in on phono. We put it on phono, and then we take the ground wire and we screw it in. And the little metal piece right there really tight so we don't get any feedback. And then you plug your power cord into the wall or your power strip. And then you want to do the same with your other turntable, exactly the same, except you put it on the left side. And you put your ground in. Okay, so now your turntables are hooked into the mixer. Next you need to hook the mixer up. So the mixer has a power cord, and you put the power cord into the little hole right there, and then you plug it into the wall, or your power strip, surge protector. And then the last thing you need is an amp. And you plug your amp into your speakers so you can hear it out in the speakers. This is not totally necessary. You can practice without speakers if you have a mixer where you can hear in the headphones. But today we're going to show you with the speakers out. So we want to plug in. It's also good for making mixtapes. You want to plug it into the master out, and it's same right and left. The master out on this mixer is located right here. These are ins, and they're going in. This is out, So it's going out. It's going out to the receiver or the amp. Okay, now that you have everything hooked up, you want to turn it on. So you turn on the power on the two turntables and put in the power on your mixer. Make sure the volumes are down. And then you want to get your needles. The needles we're using in this video are Shore's M44-7s. They're really good for scratching and mixing. It's made up of 3 parts: the head shell, the stylus, and the cartridge. The Shore M44-7 series, which is the needle we're using today, is especially good for scratching because it comes with an extra gram weight that you can screw in between the cartridge and the head shell. This extra weight helps ensure that the needle stays on the record if the turntable is jarred or bumped, like from heavy bass vibrations or something like that. On this graph, you'll see the standard way to balance your tone arm with the needle. First, you mount the cartridge at the rear of the head shell without using the extra gram weight at all. The recommended tone arm height is between 4 and 5 for this setting. Set the tracking force to 3 grams by rotating the knob at the back of the weight. And last, set the anti-skate control to 0. This next graph shows the unorthodox way to balance your tone arm, with the needle using the extra gram weight this time. A lot of DJs, including myself, prefer it this way because it's easier to balance a heavier needle, like one made for scratching, such as the M44-7. However, go with whatever works best for you. To set it up, reverse the counterweight and mount it flush with the end of the tone arm this time. Mount the cartridge along with the head shell weight flush at the front of the head shell. Like the standard setup, the recommended tone arm height is between 4 and 5, but every turntable is a little different, so play around with it until your tone arm is level. I prefer around 2.5 or 3. This last diagram shows how the tone arm should appear when it's level. Notice the tone arms that are marked with X's are wrong because they are diagonal. The tone arm that is correctly positioned is horizontally parallel with the turntable. That means the needle and the weight are balanced equally with each other. That means that the tone arm is perfectly level. That's the way you want it. And you want to put them on the tone arm just like this. Make sure it's balanced. Screw them in. Okay. Now, first we're going to discuss the turntable. And we start with we already talked about the on-off button, easy on-off. Then there's the start-stop button. Start it, the platter starts moving. This is the platter right here. Stop it, the platter stops. Now, the platter, on top of it you want to put a slip mat. That's what this little foam thing is. It's felt. And we like to put a little plastic thing underneath. Piece of plastic to make it smooth so it doesn't stick, friction, and it slips good. See how it goes around really good for scratching and mixing. And when you touch the platter, you never want to stop it because it's bad for the platter. So while it's moving, always have a light touch. And then the next buttons are 33 and 45 buttons. So I need a record to illustrate this. 33 and 45 represent the revolutions per minute that the platter is turning, or the record is turning. So press the start-stop button, the record's turning, it's on 33. So it's going 33 rotations per minute. And you can hear it, it's slower. Now when I press 45, it's faster. 45 rotations per minute, revolutions. Okay. This right here is a light for those dark clubs where you can't see anything. So you can see the little grooves on the record, nicely positioned. Okay, and then you got your pitch control. Pitch control is like the body of the turntable. This is what allows you to mix. It speeds up and slows down the platter. So that, just like the 45 and 33, but this is much smaller increments. So you can start when it's in the middle, the green light is lit up. And you can move over. It goes to +8 and -8, this turntable does. It gets faster, slower, slower, okay? And when it's 45, it's really fast. Okay, next up is the tone arm. Now this thing looks pretty intimidating because there's a lot of stuff going on, but really it's not that hard once you know what everything is. Okay, first we'll start with the bass. This is the base of the tone arm. It has a lock switch right here, and you can unlock it and adjust the height of the tone arm, and it's controlled right in here, and it controls, this is the tone arm, so it controls the height of it, how high or low it is. It goes from 0 to 6, and I like to keep it around 2.5 or 3. Lock it like that. Okay, next is the anti-skate. This is a little knob that goes from 0 to 3, and it controls the needle going like this, horizontal across the record. You don't want it to like slide across the record. You want to stay put in space. So this is what controls that. Next is the weight, and this is on the back of the tone arm. It unscrews off like this. This is the traditional way of putting it on, and this is the unorthodox way. And depending on what kind of needles you have and what you plan on doing with them, that determines how you're going to set up your tone arm. Okay, the last thing on the tone arm is this little lever right here, and this is some pretty neat stuff because what you got to do when it's up, see how it's not touching the record, and then you put it to where you want, you lay it down. But I don't think I've ever used that feature, so don't worry about that. Okay, and the last thing on here, besides the spindle, which is the middle part of the record, or I mean the middle part of the turntable, this little metal thing is what goes through the hole, we got the 45 adapter. 45 adapter is located here on the turntable, and it's not used for records with little holes, it's used for records with big holes. They're called 45s. This is a 12-inch record, and this is a 45. It has a big hole, pretty old school. A lot of soul records come in 45. Stick the adapter on the record. There you go. Okay, next, we got the mixer. Starting with the master volume up here. This controls the volume that people hear when you're playing. This is what people hear out on the floor, the master volume. Okay, this volume right here is the headphone volume. So you hear in the headphones. This controls how loud or soft it is. All right, also in the headphones, you got this switch right here. On this mixer, all mixers are different. Some don't contain this feature. So if you're looking for a mixer, try to find one with a feature similar to this because it helps you to mix. But if you have, this feature has a master Q switch, and basically when it's on master, you're hearing what's out on the floor. This is all in the headphones. When it's on Q, it's only what you hear, but they're not hearing what you hear. So you can cue up a record in the Q, and they won't be hearing it out in the master, only what's playing out in the master. Okay, this right here, this switch is the Q pan switch. And not all mixers have this either. This is a really cool feature where you can hear, it's all the way to the left, you hear the left turntable. It's all the way to the right, you hear the right turntable. And when it's in the middle, you hear both. So you can differentiate in the headphones, left and right, and both if you just want to hear this. And then you can click in the master and hear what's playing out and mix it in. Okay, next, these knobs right here, mysterious knobs, they're the EQ. And this right here is the gain. And like the master volume, it controls the volume out there. This controls the volume of each individual channel. So you can actually pump up the volume a little more if the record's quiet coming in, and the one that's playing out is really loud, and the one that you're bringing in is kind of quiet and doesn't have enough oomph. You need to bring up the gain a little bit. Next down, we got the high and mids and lows, and these are your frequencies. The highs are the really, really trebly sounding sounds, like the hi-hats in your songs, and then the mids are the mid tones, the middle tones. Mid is short for middle, and then lows are your bass. When you have the lows all the way up, you can hear really loud the bass, and the mids and the highs really high. And we'll go over that later during the mixing segment. Okay, last in the EQ is the pan knob. Pan is kind of like the cue pan where you hear the left and the right, but this is panning for the channels of this channel right here, the left and right channel. So each song has a left and right channel, a left side and a right side. So you can isolate the left side by pulling the pan all the way over and you only hear the left. You can isolate the right side by pulling it over to the right. In the middle, you hear it both. So if it's over the left, it's only in the left speakers, and in the right, it's only in the right speakers. And then this right here is another channel. It's an additional channel. It doesn't come with the fader, but it's for the microphone. It has the EQ, just the same, and the pan. Okay, now, with each channel, channel 1 and 2, you have up and down faders that control the volumes of these. This is your gain volumes, but these control like what you hear out on the floor. So when they're down, you don't hear anything out on the floor. When it's up, that's what you would hear. So when you're cueing something in, and you have if you have a record playing out, it would be like this. This volume would be all the way up. This one's down, and I'm cueing it in, but then I have it over here in my cue, and I'm hearing it in my headphones, and I'm cueing it up, and I can hear it, but you won't be able to hear it out there. And then I can fade it in with the up and downs, like that. You could fade it in slow. Some mixers have different settings. This one has different settings. Also above the up and down faders, there's the line switch where it's phono. Like before we plugged it into the phono line, but there's also a line. You can cut off the sound by using that line and then go back to full-on sound, phono. Okay, last on the mixer, and the coolest feature I think, is the crossfader. And the crossfader is what ties everything together. It's like the coolest thing. Basically, when the crossfader is in the center, you hear both turntables, both right and left, as long as your up and down volumes are up. So if it's all the way to the left, then you don't hear the right turntable. You only hear the left turntable. And when it's all the way to the right, you only hear the right. Kind of like the pan, cue pan in the headphones, but this is like for what everybody hears. So, and then when it's in the center, you hear both. So if this volume's down and it's in the center, you're not going to hear both because this volume is down. But once you put it up, then you hear both. If this volume's down and this fader's over here, you're not going to hear anything even though this volume is up. You would have to have it in the middle for you to hear something. Now, the last thing with the crossfader, and this is really important for scratching and mixing, if you want to mix with the crossfader. Some mixers have a feature called the curve adjustment. The curve adjustment is located right here on the back near the headphones on this mixer. And when it's all the way to the left, it's a slow fade. So when you push it, it fades the records in really slow. Kind of like the up and downs. It goes, it's kind of like that. Fades it in. But when the curve adjustment is all the way to the right, it cuts in, so you get immediate sound right when it comes over. It's not a slow fade, full-on sound in the center. It's little cut, full-on sound right at the beginning, and that's good for scratching because you want that cut right there, right at the beginning. You don't want to cut with a fade because then your patterns won't come out and it'll get pretty frustrating. So you want to scratch with the curve adjustment on the quick cut feature, and that's the crossfader. So that's all your equipment and how to set it up and all the features. So now let's move on and learn how to mix.
Shortee, DJ. Okay, kids, I'll tell you what we're gonna do.
The second lesson for today is
Listen.
now, students,
You can learn.
how music is made.
And we want to start just exactly with all the music. Let's start it on cue now.
Hey, DJ!
Bam! That was another good one.
Earlier, I kind of mix like a house DJ because I was brought up spinning house. So I'm not like a trick DJ. I tend to like let it groove more, just kind of drag the mixes out, let the records blend together longer than, usual 1-2 quick, 16 beats, boom, you're into it, 16 beats, boom, you're out of it.
I mix various forms of music. It really helps me in my mixing because every style of music has a different approach.
I use the EQ more, not quite like tricking. You have your highs, mids, and lows. So if I'm mixing in, records that have a lot of bass, maybe you want to bring, some of the bass out of the other record, bring it up here and just kind of like gradually like have it blend in, you know what I mean? Just kind of as you're bringing this up, bring this one down a little, just lower, higher, lower, higher.
You have to adapt to the record. You have to learn different ways of dropping these records in. Some you're going to be able to mix, some you're going to have to like pause and drop the next one, or echo in the next one, or like, fade out that one and drop. There's going to be so many different ways that you're going to be able to do it, which really helps.
You should try not to be pigeonholed into one genre of music.
All right, now it's time to learn how to mix. This is one of the most important skills of DJing. Just as important as scratching, like you can be a DJ and not scratch, but you can't be a DJ and not mix. I mean, I guess you could just play the records in, but we want to be good DJs, so we're going to learn how to mix. So first off, I'm going to do this segment with some dance music. Straight beat is the best music, I think, personally, to learn how to mix with first. But you can also learn with hip-hop, or breaks, or other kinds of music like that. But I'm going to teach you with a straight beat because it's simple 4/4 time. Now, first, we have to talk about time signatures. Music is the effect produced by the combination of time and sound, or in other words, the combination of duration and pitch. Composers write music using what's called music notation. Music notation is written out on a series of parallel horizontal lines called a staff. A vertical line drawn through the staff is called a bar line, and the space between two bar lines is called a measure. How long a sound lasts is represented by different symbols called notes. There are 6 different kinds of notes, and they all relate to each other mathematically, with the longest note in the measure being the whole note. The whole note is equal to 2 half notes, 4 quarter notes, 8 eighth notes, 16 16th notes, or 32 32nd notes. The time or tempo that a certain song is played is indicated by 2 numbers that look like a fraction at the beginning of the series of measures. This is called the time signature. The top number represents the number of beats or counts in each measure, and the bottom number represents which type of note receives 1 beat. For example, the easiest and most popular time signature that DJs mix is 4/4 time. A 4/4 time signature means that there are 4 beats in each measure, and each quarter note stands for 1 whole count or beat. So you can have up to 4 quarter notes in each measure. Dance music like drum and bass, hip-hop, and house is written in 4/4 time, and usually grouping measures in sets of 4, 8, 16, or 32. The downbeat is the strongest beat, and it's the first beat 1 at the beginning of the phrase of measures. This is the beat that you usually want to start mixing from. In this diagram, the downbeat is indicated by the big red number 1. You should always count along with your song so you can start mixing your next song in on the correct downbeat. Okay, now that you know how to count, you're ready to mix. And the first step of mixing is called beat matching. So find a record with straight 4 beats like we did before. Really empty, easy. Okay, now, when you start, you should get 2 of the same records and try to mix them together. Because if you can get them on, that'll get you the feel of it. Because they're both the same record, so it's pretty easy because they're probably both in the same place on the pitch control. But it's very important for you to learn to differentiate for the 2 sides. So you're going to have to learn to first cue up the record in the headphones. So you want to plug in your headphones. And for this example, I'm going to show you what you're hearing in the headphones, but you're going to hear it playing out here. So this up and down fader is going to be up, but when you're mixing, it's really going to be down, and you're only hearing it in the headphones. So when you're cueing, you get your record to the beginning of the sound. That's what's called cueing. And you hear it right there. It's at the beginning of the sound. You don't want to start it later because then it won't start on beat. So you want to start it on 1. And then you practice mixing in the other record that's the same. Now, we already went over the pitch control. The pitch control is very important because every time you move the pitch control, you want to adjust the record, which we'll go over in a second. So next, you'll want, after you mix two of the same records, you want to try two different records. That's when it gets a little more complicated. So we have a record over here. It's a little busier, and it starts with a straight beat. And this is what this record sounds like. You got to know the records to know what the difference, so you can tell when they're both playing in the headphones, you know which is which. So we know what this sounds like. Okay, and then we got this one over here. It sounds like this. Okay, so now we know the two different ones, and we're going to try to mix this one into this one. So when you're playing a gig or practicing at home, you got your record playing, you start it, and it's playing out. Now, in the headphones, you want to cue up the other record. So you put your headphones on, and this volume's down, and right now I'm cueing it up, and I'm finding the beginning of the sound, and I start counting with this one, like we did before. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I mix it in there. Now I'm trying to get it on beat, and this is what I'm hearing right now. See, it's not on beat, so I want to speed it up. How I speed it up is I put my finger in the middle and I turn it, press down and turn it. And as I'm turning it, I move the pitch control faster because I'm speeding it up with my finger. So then I want the pitch control to pick it up for me. See? Now if I get it too fast, it's speeding up, so I want to slow it down. So this is a trick. You touch the flatter like this. And every time you touch the flatter, you speed it down with the pitch control. And none of this anyone can hear out there because all they're hearing is this. And you're mixing in your headphones, so they can't hear. Helps to nod your head too, because it helps to keep the beat. Can you hear the difference? So every time you slow it with here, you always move it. Every time you adjust the record, always move the pitch control. Even just a little bit. It's really sensitive, so you just move it a little bit at a time. Okay, so now it's mixed. So now we want to, or it's on beat, it's beat matched. So now you want to mix it. So mixing is when we're going to gradually fade it in. You can gradually fade it in with the up and down like this, or you can gradually fade it in like this if you have your curve adjustment set. We're going to use the up and down. We wait for the one. Mixed it in on one. See, this is what I'm hearing in the headphones, but no one else can hear that. And I'm going to slowly fade it in. Keep it on. Both on. And there's your mix. So now, that's one way of mixing with the up and downs. Okay, next I want to add in the EQ. That's these mysterious knobs up here. Okay, we already went over high, mids, and lows. You know what they sound like. So this is what helps you make your mixes a little more smooth, rather than just the fade, and you can hear the whole record coming in. This way, we can fade it in so you only hear the highs, or you only hear the lows, and then you bring in the highs. So we're going to do one technique I'm going to show you right now. We're going to mix it in with just the highs, and we're going to take the mids about halfway, and take the lows all the way down. And the highs are right there. Okay, so mix it the same. The record that's playing out, and I'm going to cue up the record in my headphones so no one can hear. And I got it on beat 1. So mixing it, getting it on time, making sure. Okay, I know it's on time. So next, I bring all my EQ down, and I want to mix it in, only hearing the highs, so when it comes in, you don't hear any of the bass. And I wait for beat 1. Sometimes records break down and build like this, and you can mix it in there if you want, but it flows a lot better if you wait till after the bridge or after the build, because it progresses. Otherwise, it doesn't fall right, or it may sound good, but you have to play with it beforehand, make sure. Okay, that was a 1. But I don't think it's going to sound good there, so I'm going to wait a minute. It's another thing about mixing. You want to wait till it feels right, wait till it sounds right. Okay, I think I'm going to bring it in soon. All right, coming up. I'm waiting for the 1. 3, 2, 1. See, I brought it in there. Only I can hear it. And I'm bringing it in. And all you can hear is the highs. You can't hear the lows. Okay. Now I'm going to slowly bring up the highs a little more. Slowly bring up the mids. And then gradually bring in the bass. The bass is the most sensitive. Keep it on. And as I'm bringing up the bass, I'm bringing down the lows on the other one. Kind of switching them out. How smooth it is, you can barely tell the basses are switching. And then you can slowly bring down and bring it up full on. And then fade it out. And there you go. You can do a fast fade or a slow fade. You can stop the record. You know, there's many ways you can go out of it. So just experiment, try it out. You can always mix in with just the lows. Just bring it in and bring in the mids. And then the highs. You can do crazy tricks where you take the highs and the lows and go. And basically all that is you're at the same time you're bringing the high all the way up, you're bringing the low all the way down, and you're turning them the opposite direction. Or you can do it with the mids and the highs, and you can do it slow. It's a cool effect. all that while you're mixing. So there you go. With those techniques, you should be able to mix 2 records together perfectly and do awesome sets.
Shortee DJ.
Yes, well, wicked.
Our third subject for today is
I want the kids to do it.
Now, what shall we scratch today?
Kids, come on. All right, boys and girls.
You're in the record cut like a maniac.
We're going to bring our special guest,
Scratching
the drum.
With the turntable.
Check it out.
It's like it was always in my nature to scratch. It's like back in the day I wanted to scratch before I even wanted to mix.
You know, I mean, I would sit at home, you know, hours and hours and hours and hours just to learn one little scratch, just try to perfect it, just try to do it as good as that DJ was doing it.
When I would go to dances and clubs and whatnot, I mean, I wasn't really much a dancer. I was more up there watching the DJ and whatnot. And I would get bored because DJs would just be blending and stuff. All right, cool, I've heard that song. But then there'd be one DJ that'd be up there scratching, and I'd be like, yo, I would run up there and be like, yo, what's going on? You know, I'd be all excited.
Cut. And make me shake your butt, y'all.
All that scratch and making me itch. All that scratch and making me all that scratch and making me itch.
Now we're going to learn how to scratch. First thing you need to know is how to mark your record. In order to mark your record, you need stickers. I like these stickers because they're bright and you can see them in a club if it's dark. Okay, so first you find the sound that you're going to scratch. I have this record and it has a lot of scratch sounds on it. So I really like the ah sound because you can do the most with it and it's the best to learn with, I think. So we're going to start with the ah. First thing you need to do is you need to know where the beginning of the sound is. And you do that by listening. You can tell when it's not at the beginning of the sound because you don't hear a clean break. There's the clean break. So you know right where it is, you get it right on, and then you stop the turntable. Okay, then you take a sticker and you put it at the top at 12 o'clock, and you think of the circle like a clock. So wherever that is, you know that's the beginning of your favorite sound, the ah. Then you can reference all your other sounds to this sticker. So you got the ah, then there's and that starts here, and you can tell where the starts because where it's pointing. So if you remember, yo starts here. So you can always tell where your sound is. That's the most important. Okay, next, I have to talk about hand positioning. Before you even start to scratch, it's good to have good technique and not be like all over the place. You got to be like, you have to have control and stay relaxed and try to keep your elbow should be above the turntable. It shouldn't be underneath because you don't have as much control. You want to have good control. Turntables should be around waist level. It's different for everybody, but I prefer them around waist level because I have the most control. And you can either stand like this or like this. Some DJs stand all the way over here for certain patterns, but it's good to have your hand pretty much level and not like up like this, or unless you're doing some crazy technique or something like that that you made up. But it's for most scratches, you want to keep it level. You want to have a light touch too. You don't want to be really hard because your record might skip or the table will move or something like that. So you want to really work on having a light touch with control. So this would be the proper form, like this. Okay, next, we're going to talk about the most basic scratches, which is the baby scratches. Baby scratches are also called faderless scratches. You don't use the crossfader, you just move the record. And to illustrate baby scratches, first, when you first start scratching, you're going to want to play with some sounds. And just play with the sounds on the record, find the ones you like the best. So I'm just playing with sounds. Notice the harder you push it, the louder and higher pitched, and the softer you push it, the lower pitched it is. So if you go, it's really hard, it's high pitched, and if you do it slow, so you get different sounds like that. So play with your sounds first, get familiar with the record. Then you can practice your baby scratches. Baby scratches are, you can move the record back and forth, pretty easy. You can also do it with the sound later, but when it's not at the beginning of the sound, but it creates a different sound. But we're going to do them all like this, right at the top. So you can move it like this, you can create patterns like that, you can go, let it go. Okay, so those are baby scratches. Okay, then you can add the up and down fader for the correct turntable, which is the right side, and make your baby scratches fade. So this can turn into this. See the fade? You can do all sorts of different sounds. All those things that you just did. You can do crazy fades. Okay, the next thing I'm going to teach is the stab. The stab is the first scratch that you will use the crossfader on. It's very easy. Instead of just letting the record go and hearing the pullback when you bring it back, you can cut that pullback out and with the fader. So a stab would be one push with the record and one push with the fader, so it's like this. And then on the pullback, you don't hear it because you bring the fader back. See, it's quiet, so it just sounds like this. A little slower. You can also do the stab with the up and down fader. like this. The important thing with the stab is to bring the fader back before you hear the pullback. And you can do them fast. And you can make crazy patterns like that, funky rhythms, stabs. Stabs can also be done without letting the record go. You can go. That way, when the push, the fader goes over at the same time as the push, so it's, and then you bring the fader back before you pull it back, so it's the same thing. Or you could do a long one. All those are stabs, funky rhythms, funky rhythms, stabs. Okay, now with the stab, you can also do echoes, just like you did with the baby scratch. And the up and down fader, you can do stabs and make echoes by doing one full on, all the way up, and then bring it down. The next one that you do is just a little lower. And then the next one's a little lower. The next one's a little lower. So it sounds like this. And that's an echo. Now, I'm going to move over to the left side, and I'm going to show you how to transform. Transforming is similar to the stab, except you're just letting the record play, or you could be moving it with your hand, or whatever. It doesn't really matter what the record is doing. The transform is basically centered around the crossfader and cutting it in and out. So you can just let it play and cut it out, or you can move it with your finger. And that's a transform. Really easy scratch. Anyone can pick that up. Impossible to master. It takes a lifetime to master the transform, however, anyone can do it. Same with the stab. It's all what you do with it. So, transform. Transform. Okay, now I'm going to show you one of the most important scratches. It's called the chirp. It's the connector scratch. It's the scratch that connects all the other scratches together so that you can create patterns out of multiple scratches. Okay. The chirp is like this. I like to do it visually. Kind of think of chirp as in, I also call the scratch the bluebird. It's an old school term, the bluebird. And basically, I think of your hands as wings. And if you both are going in the opposite direction, like this, so your hands will be making this motion. And it won't be like the stab, they're both going the same direction. The chirp, they're both going different directions. So it sounds confusing, but it's really not. The first trick is you have to start with the crossfader in the middle. That's important. And you start with the sound at the beginning. Otherwise, it won't be a crisp chirp. It'll be more muddy. So you want it, remember the beginning of the sound, start with the fader in the middle. Now the first movement is pushing the record this way to the right, and the fader the opposite direction to the left. So it sounds like this. Okay, then there's no sound, and then now the next sound is the pullback of the record, and as you're pulling back the record with this hand, you're pulling the fader back to the middle with this hand, so both your hands are going in the same motion to the middle, and you're going like this. And then you're back to where you started. So go out, in, out, in. See the motion? Pretty easy, right? And then you can do like faster scratches. They sound really crisp. You can do all sorts of rhythms. You can let it go. And that's all the chirp. You're just letting the record go when it's pulling. And then okay, next is the flare. Flare is much harder, so I want you to get all the scratches down first before you start on the flare. The flare is a backwards transform. And the way I would describe it is it's sort of like the bluebird, except instead of getting one sound when you push the record forward, you're getting two sounds out of that one. So the first sound you're getting, you start with the fader in the middle, just like the chirp, and then you push. The first sound is, the first beat is the push, first push. Then as you're pushing it, you cut the fader one more time. So you get two sounds, so it's like this. Starting in the middle. See how you're getting two sounds? It's the one, and then another one. And then on the back, on the pullback, you get two sounds again. So it's pull, and then, so on the pullback, it's pull, and then cut it. So forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. Faster, it sounds like. So you're getting more notes and out of less movements. And you can also fuse the bluebird with the flare, do the bluebird, which sets you up for the flare. This is the position you need to be in. Bluebird, flare, bluebird, flare. Okay, moving on. Next up is the crab. The crab is a much more complicated scratch, and it's basically all focused around the fader. So it really doesn't matter what this record is doing, whether you're pushing it or it's just playing, that doesn't matter. It adds to the scratch. You can make different patterns while you're moving the record, but it's not detrimental to the scratch. Okay, the crab is called the crab because it looks like a crab running down the beach, and basically your fingers are moving in a motion where the finger closest to your pinky hits the fader first, and you have to use more than one finger, because if you just use one finger, it's a stab. So you want to use at least two fingers, and up to four. Four is hard. I can't even use four. Maybe Hubert can use four, but and basically your fingers are touching one after the other, just like that. Okay, now it looks like your fingers are doing all the work, but really the trick is in the thumb, because the thumb has the tension, and it has to be the perfect amount of tension. It can't be too stiff or you won't get a sound. Nothing will come out because your thumb's keeping the fader from moving. It can't be too loose, because then you won't get any cuts out of the sound, and it'll just sound like ah, and it won't sound like ah 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 ah, and that's what you want. So say you're doing a two-finger crab, you would go. Hear the different, it's like different sounds making out of that one ah. And you can add a push in it and make it so that you can combine the crab with the flare to create another pattern, which is you start with the fader in the middle and you do the flare. So you're going just like, instead of going cutting it in one on the flare, you're doing two cuts with your fingers. So it's like, and it makes three sounds, so it's like a triplet. Now all these scratches you should practice slow first. So and it may get boring, you're like, oh, slow. But your body learns slower than your brain. So your brain may be like, oh, I understand that. But your body's like, huh? So you got to do it real slow for your body to get it first. And then once your body gets the motion, then if you do it like 100 times slow, then when you want to do it fast, your body's like, oh, I know how to do that. And then it'll come much faster. But if you try to do it fast right off the bat, it's just going to be sloppy and you're not going to sound good. So you want to do it slow first so you can get your technique down, because that's the most important in anything, whether you're playing an instrument, doing martial arts, DJing, whatever. Do it slow first, get the technique down. So once you do that, then you can do it fast. But slow, it sounds. And all that is the flare and the crab. And together they sound like this. And that's the crab. Okay, next is another type of faderless scratch. We did the baby scratch, which was faderless without using the crossfader. But this is another faderless scratch where you're actually using the rotation of the platter as part of the scratch. So you're using the pull that the platter gives to make that motion. So when you're doing you let the record play, and you pull it back, and then you let it go, pull it back, let it go, pull it back. When you do it really slow, it sounds, really small, it sounds much different. But so the slow motion would be let it play, bring it back. Kind of like the doggy paddle, you're just going like this. And you can do it right at the beginning, or you can do it as the sound's going all the way down, so you can go, and it creates like a crazy fade. Then there's another faderless scratch that you're also using the rotation to fuel the scratch. And basically you pull in, and it's kind of like the bluebird, how your hands are kind of doing in this position, but you're pulling in with one, and then in with the other, and then out, and then out. In, out, out, in, out, out, and you can create different rhythms like that. So those are some of the basic faderless scratches. There's some more technical faderless scratches, but that's for DJ 202. So now, next up, we're going to do a special drumming section, and I brought my special guest, DJ Faust. He's going to show you some drumming techniques. Basically, drumming is just like scratching, except instead of using an ah or a you're using a drum beat, and you're manipulating the drums to create your own beat, just like a drummer would.
Here we go. Here we go. Okay, I'm here with my special guest, DJ Faust, and he just did an incredible drumming routine for us. Thank you very much. And right now we're going to show you how to drum. We're going to only show you the basics though. It's a hard technique. We're going to keep it to the bare minimum, only using a bass drum and a snare drum. And the drums that on his record right now, he has a bass drum that's in the middle of 2 snare drums. So there's a snare drum on either side of the bass drum. So first play the snare, and then play the next bass drum, and then play the next snare. See, this is where the sticker really comes into play, because you really need to focus on where the sticker is so you know where all the sounds are and you can bring it back. Okay, so first he's going to show you a really simple pattern, and just bringing from only using the middle kick drum and the first snare, the snare that's before that kick drum. Do the pattern fast first. So now he's going to do it in slow motion. First he hits the kick, and then he pulls it back to the beginning of the snare drum, and then hits the snare. So if he wants to do 2 kicks, he'll go boom, boom, and then he'll bring it back for the snare. Do it slow motion. Now that second push, the first 2 pushes is boom, boom, the bass drum. The second push, he's bringing it back to the snare and letting the snare play through to the bass drum, so he gets the ba-dum. So he goes boom, boom, and then he pulls it back and gets the ba-dum. So he's not going ba-dum, you know, he's getting both notes out of that one push. So do it again. See how he's getting da-da out of that one push. That's the trick. Okay, so now the next one, he's going to do with the bass drum that's in the middle, and then he's going to do a similar pattern, but with the snare drum that's on the other side of the bass drum. Okay, that's what the pattern sounds like. So now he's doing the same boom, boom. That's how he gets his bass drum, and as many boom, boom, booms as you want in the rhythm. And then he's going to let it play and get the putat. So he lets it play on the bass drum through to the snare. So he'll go boom, and then the second boom, he'll let it play through. So do it slow, twice slow, boom. Okay, see how it was only 2 motions, but he's getting both the kick and the snare out of the motion, just like on the last one, but this time he's pushing forward instead of bringing it back. And then every time you bring it back, if you want to add another bass drum, you just add it in the middle and then putat again. Okay, the last thing we're going to show is using the snares on both sides with the bass drum in the middle, and how you can do patterns with the snares on both sides. Okay, notice how he's doing everything you just learned, but he's fusing them together, and it just creates a dope drum beat. He can get different sounding drums by just doing the push, wugga, 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 without using the fader. He can fade out the bass drum as a fill. He can do 3 bars and then just like playing the drums, and then the fill. And all that is he's just letting that last fill, do that last fill for him. Real easy. All you're doing is when you're doing it slowly, you're having your hand at the snare, stop the hand on the snare, and you're pulling it back and letting it go, so you hear the snare bass, snare bass, snare bass, and you let the record go like that. So when you're fading out, it sounds like that. So do one more drum for us before we go. And that's all with just 3 notes. 1 kick, which is the bass drum. Kick is another word for bass drum. And the snares on either side, and that's it. And that's your drumming. Thank you, Faust. Okay, so that's all the rudiments you need to know. And I say rudiments because scratching is just like playing the drums or a percussion instrument. You have rudiments, you have your rolls and your flams and all your different tricks with the drums. It's the same with scratching. You have your basic scratches that you need to know, all the basic rudiments or the basic scratches before you create your own. And scratching is really great because you can just sit there and play with the sound and come up with some crazy scratch that no one's ever heard of and everyone will think you're so dope, and all it was like a complete accident. Some of the best scratches were made just by accident. Flair, DJ Flair, he made the Flair scratch, total accident, and now it's like the scratch is named after him, and it's just so cool. So just play with your sounds. Don't be afraid to make some crazy noise because that's when the best scratches come out. Make sure you scratch slow first, like I said before. Get your techniques down, and then scratch without the music. Don't scratch with the music because that'll get you confused. And then once you get your pattern, then, you know, try with the music and just try to create new stuff. And the best stuff happens by accident. So there you go, scratching.
All right now, kids.
It's time to juggle.
I thought we were studying music.
Yeah, that's right.
Juggle.
Now, I want to encourage you to practice.
Break it down. The beat with your hand.
Come on, kids, now. One more time. Here we go now.
Come back, bring it back, come rewind.
First thing is the crowd, you know what I'm saying? There for the crowd, I'm a DJ. So first thing, I'm trying to rock it.
I'd like to give a performance out there. I don't want to sit up there and look bored, you know. I just want to get up there and do my thing and look like I'm having fun.
You want to try to bring something new to the table. You don't want to be like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? You want to set yourself apart from everybody else.
I mean, if you have the capability to be a turntablist or you do develop the skills to become a turntablist, then whenever you get the chance, man, flaunt it.
Because I want to keep the people on the dance floor. So your tracks have to have good energy no matter what genre you're playing.
You want to come off tight, you know what I'm saying? You want to be good. You don't want to suck. You want to pull your routine off. Perfect.
And as soon as they hear something that's out of the ordinary, like a music stop and just scratching, then you're instantly going to get their attention.
That's about it. You want to be good. You want to be good. You want to be good. You want to be good.
One, two, one, two. One, two, one, two. One, two. One, two. One, two. One, two. One, two, 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 two. One, 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 two.
Now I'm going to show you how to beat juggle. Okay, first you need, let's start with two of the same records. I have two of the same records right here on the turntables. Now you're going to need your stickers again. And you do the exact same thing like I showed you on the scratch portion. And you find the beginning of your beat. It's good to have an empty sounding beat. Or minimal sounding beat, just like kicks and snares and maybe a stab. Because if it's got horns all the way through, then it's not as fluid to backspin or beat juggle. It's a lot cleaner if the beats are minimal. So this is an example of a minimal beat. Okay, and this is the beginning of the part I want to beat juggle in the song. So whether it's at the beginning of the song, it doesn't matter. If you want to beat juggle that part, find the beginning of the sound, like you learned in the scratch portion, stop the record, put the sticker at the top, just like that. So you always know where your beat starts. And I can always pull it back to the beginning. Okay, so you do the same on the other side. Okay, now, it's important that both are the same level, because even though they're the same record, turntables might play louder or whatever, so you don't want one blaring and the other one really quiet, because then it won't sound right. You want it to sound like it's the same record, even though it's two. You want to sound like you're creating one song out of two records. So, make sure the levels are the same. Okay, so they're both pretty much the same. This one's a little quieter. Okay, now, first thing is backspinning. Backspinning is one of the most basic steps of beat juggling. Basically, you're letting a segment of the record play. So like we spoke about in the mixing section, you have a bar of 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So we're going to do it in beats of 4 first. And then we would let this one play. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now, when you want to put them together, you let this one play 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you bring it back, and as you're bringing it back, you play this one. So it sounds like this. So, notice you didn't hear the pullback. You didn't hear, because you're pulling it back while this one's playing. So again, this one plays out. 2, 3, 4, you're pulling it back. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now, then you can do it, you can cut it in half. You can go 1, 2, 1, 2. So let's go. Okay, just the same thing. And then you can go 1 and 1. So you go. But that's a little harder. So when you're doing it, start with 4 beats on either side, and then work up faster, because it's harder when it's faster. It's harder to move. It's a quicker motion. It takes some practice. So when you're starting, do 4 on either side, and then work it up in increments, so that you're doing 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, like that. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, next up is tap pausing. Tap pausing the record is when you're breaking down the beat with your hand. And I'm just going to show you here on the right side. You can do it on both sides. During a beat juggle, you can add it in and break the beat down into half time to create new rhythms out of the records. So the beat, regular speed, is this. So tap pausing, I would break it in half. So I would let the record play for the first note, and then stop it after 1, and then lift it up again, stop it, stop it, stop it. So it sounds like this. It doesn't sound like much when it's slow, but when it's fast, it goes. So you're breaking the beat slower in half time. And you're basically putting your finger on the record and stopping the record, but not pushing so hard that it stops the platter, because you don't want to stop the platter. That's bad for the motor. You want to keep the platter moving, and you're just lightly touching the record in between each beat. You could also go in groups of 2, and you can go. So you're getting kind of like that triplet feel. It's still breaking down the beat. The beat still sounds like this, but you're making it sound different. Okay, the last beat juggling trick I'm going to show you today is called the walk. Since we're only covering the basics, but you can fuse all those, the back spinning and the tap, and also the walk to create your juggles. And it really just depends on what records you decide to use. Some records, you won't know what patterns come out until you play around with them, and then you can figure out a cool pattern. Sometimes you'll come up with techniques just because of the records where the drums are to create a beat, and then you'll have created a new pattern for your beat juggling. So it's good to play around with the records. So now we're going to do the walk, and basically the walk is using both, and it's using the tap pause technique, but you're using it on both sides, and you're moving the crossfader, so it's a little more complicated. We're going to start on the left side, and we're only going to play this much of each record. Okay? And then, so when we do it, I'm going to go, and I'm going to stop it with this hand, but I won't be stopping it. I'm just doing it in slow motion right now. And then with this hand, after I stop it, I'm going to move the fader over. So fast, it looks like this. Okay? Don't get intimidated. It's not that hard. Just takes a little practice. So we'll go. Once we let go of this record, this hand is going to automatically push the faders, so it's going to go like that, right over, and then right when you push the fader over, you let this one go, and then as that's playing, you're moving the fader over and playing the next part of it. And then as that's playing, you're pushing the fader over and playing the next part of it. And then as that's playing, you're pushing the fader over. So, since it's impossible to do in slow motion, I'll just go through it a few times and you can watch it over and over. Okay, so you go. Okay, so now we got to get it back to the beginning. Got the beginning of the sound, or the beginning of your beat. okay? And instead of starting, we did the walk just now, the most basic one with both the stickers in the same direction and the records in the same position. Now what's really cool with the walk is if you take it on a different note rather than beat 1, that's beat 1, you want to take it maybe on the end of 1. So you grab that hi-hat after beat 1, so it's, hear that little hi-hat back there? It's 1 and, the and of 1. So we're going to start this record in this position, and we're going to start this record in the start position on beat 1. So then you create a crazy triplet kind of pattern, doing the same exact walk, just starting the records in different positions. So you're doing the same thing, just the records starting in different ways, and it sounds like this. And that's it. So that's the walk, and then you can add your taps in, and you can do a walk and then tap a few as you're holding this record and then let the other one play, or you can backspin a few and then break it down tapping and then break it into the walk like I did in the routine that I showed you earlier as an example. So there you go. Those are the basics of beat juggling. Have fun.
Well, I mean, to become a really good DJ, you gotta have confidence, because it's like, if you're not feeling what you're doing, you're not gonna come across to the crowd like you're feeling what you're doing, you know what I'm saying? And people are gonna notice that. I mean, if the needle skips or something goes wrong, you know what I'm saying, just pull it off like it's all good.
Say I'm looking for like hard house and techno to fit in that type of set. I'll go into like a dance type record store and they'll have it lined up in bins, and it'll be like house, techno, tech house, drum and bass, jungle, you know, breakbeat, whatever. They'll all be in different bins. I won't just go to the hard house bin or the techno bin. I'll look in all the bins, progressive house, breaks, all the bins, just because maybe I'll be able to find something that I can fit in.
Music I play is drum and bass, and it's like once they come out, it's like either you hit or you miss. You jump on it or you don't get it, because I mean the music comes from London, England, and it's pretty rare. I mean it comes to the States, but it takes a while. It takes a good 2 months or 3 months to hit the States, and when it does, either like I said, record stores that do order it, they'll order maybe 20 copies or so. I mean, I don't know, I'm just guessing when it comes in, but that will be it.
Okay, so then I'm looking in the bins. Now I may know some of the labels or I may know some of the artists, so of course I'll pull those out, pull out the ones I like, but I'll also look at the covers, the record sleeve. If it looks like a cool cover or something that I might be interested in, I'll pull that out. Okay, then I'll get like a big stack, as many as the record store will let me bring to the listening station, and then I'll just start skipping through and listening to all of them. If I hear like a sound or a type of song or something that I think I may be able to use, I'll stick it in a stack, like a maybe stack, and then I'll go through all the records. Then I'll go back through those records, the maybe stack, and then I'll try to find, okay, this record, this has 3 good tracks. Oh, it's Goldmine record, you know, it has 3 good tracks on it, 4 good tracks. Some records, a lot of my records only has 1 good track, but I mean, it's worth it. I mean, $10 for 1 good track, I mean, it's still worth it.
Why should I play something, you know, just because it's hot? I mean, but sometimes you'll find yourself doing it. I mean, there's tunes you have to play because they're hot. Maybe, you know, you play them a couple weeks and then you're done. But there's tunes, like I said, that I still play, you know, like Function. I play it all the time. But then sometimes I won't play it for 5-6 months and then I'll break it out again.
So now if I'm looking for like funk or soul or rock records to fit in that kind of like a break set, if I'm looking for rare breaks or even hip hop, I sometimes I won't just, if I'm looking for hip hop, I won't just go to a hip hop store. I can also go to like a thrift store or just a vintage record store, and that's where I find all the funk and soul and old school hip hop that I play and stuff like that.
I try to play tunes, you know, that were good then that I still think are good now, you know what I mean? Just because it's a little older doesn't mean it's no good.
If you want rock or funk or soul, I mean, you're looking for like the crazy cool covers, like the ones where they're all like decked out and they're, you know, in the whole 70s feel or whatever year you're looking for, look for the cover like that. Or if it's just something you're interested in, same with any genre, just look for that cover that looks cool.
Play what you think is good. I mean, don't try to play something because in the scene you have a lot of DJs that play for other DJs. Half the people, if not maybe more than 75% of the people on the dance floor, don't even know if a track is 2 days old or 2 years old. You know, as long as it's good, it's good.
Once you get into the groove of things, of digging for records, you'll start to have like that sixth sense that your radar will just go off and you'll have a feeling about the record. So that just comes with practice.
I guess having a steady and a good collection of records, you know, would probably be the best advice.
One way that I've found to organize my records in a quick fashion so that I can actually pull them out quicker is that I organize them by tempo, basically. Like I'll put records that are slower together in one bin, I'll put records that are medium to fast in another bin. The reason I do this is because it's a lot easier to pull records out instead of having to like trying to find a record that will actually like fit in the speed. So things that won't go over a certain tempo, even at +8, I'll put in one bin. And I know if I want to play this tempo or if it's this type of party or whatever, you know, I can just whip that stuff. I can take the whole crate and I'm straight all night.
What does a professional DJ have to look forward to when traveling on the road?
Nice hotels, you know, room service, hanging out with friends, people that you don't normally meet, you know.
For one thing is that never get to sleep. I mean, it's rare because you're up half of the night and you have to be up early to catch these flights.
The cons, well, like you have to maybe sit at an airport for 3 hours.
And it definitely wears on you because you have all these itineraries and it's like you need to be from one place to another place to another place to another place, and you can't slack on one of them because some of these places there's only 1 or 2 flights leaving that day. So I mean, I've been stuck at the airports plenty of times.
I remember playing in New York and we were playing in Queens. So we were staying in Jamaica, Queens. So it was a promoter, it was like his first real party. He used to throw like Outlaws. So he put us up at a hotel. It wasn't quite a hotel. It was more of like a halfway house where you didn't have a phone, the phone was outside. The TV channel only played 2, you know, 10-minute loops of porno. It wasn't even like a pillow. You could hear the subway underneath. It was the worst hotel room you could ever see in your life. But we got out of there in about 10 minutes flat.
I'd say one of the major keys is definitely in your mixtapes. I mean, if you ever get the opportunity to play in front of a crowd or at a party, just bring mixtapes with you. If it's 10, if it's 15, whatever amount of tapes you can. The way I used to do it is I would put my tape deck through hell because I would just nonstop duplicate tapes and duplicate tapes and duplicate tapes. And when I would go out, when I would be done, the kids that would come up to me and say, yo, I really enjoyed it or I really liked it, I would give them a tape. But you know the way it goes, you hand out a tape, someone sees it, then they all want it. So I mean, for sure, I'll get rid of all my tapes. Just give a nice presentation of the tape. It's gotta be an eye catcher, you know, it's like a nice cover, a nice looking tape, you know, it's like people grab it instantly. Good recording, of course, I mean, it always gotta sound good.
You're also gonna have to maybe put together a little bio, a little picture, along with your mixtape so that a promoter or whoever you send it to has something to remember you by.
My advice is get yourself a good agent, that way they can be on point and they can give you a bunch of information. As far as what an agent does is they find your bookings for you and they put everything under contract so it's legit, you know, so everything works out perfect. You have a deposit that comes in and you get a nice bio sent to the promoter so they present you in a proper way, and you get a form with just a bunch of emergency numbers and info numbers and just all them addresses and hotel confirmation and stuff like that, you know, just so you can be safe. I feel like I'm safe. It's like my family, you know. If I'm stuck, I make a phone call. I don't call my mom, I call my agent.
You might want to start with a smaller agent first. It might be easier to get on their roster because they don't have that many people, and then you can grow with them. Ultimately, it's all about self-promotion, whether you get an agent or not. So promote yourself to the fullest because that's the only way people will hear you or take you seriously. When I was thinking of my DJ name, I wanted to think of something that was, easy to remember, that people could see on a flyer and maybe catch a little glimpse of my personality or the kind of music I play, or something for them to think about me when they see the name.
When I put together a set for a show, I basically have a bin in which I keep the records that I have listened to, and I have bits and pieces of stuff, music or vocals or breaks or whatever it is. I keep them all in one bin. What I usually do is I'll go through my collection. I'm constantly listening to records, whether they're 10 years old, they've been on the shelf forever or whatever. Doesn't matter. I listen to everything that I can, because what I hear today might not be something that I actually even liked yesterday. So it depends on the project that I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to do a mix city or something and it has to be a specific sound or something, I'm listening to everything to see what kind of pieces I can actually use. I stick them in a bin, and then when I find all the bits and pieces that are possibles, I'll try to organize them in a manner in which it'll sound good in a set. And that's basically how I put together a set, Otherwise, I'll just improvise it at the show using records that I know that I actually like. I have a section of stuff that is stuff that I play often, and stuff that I don't play often goes on the shelf.
I mean, the best advice to be a dope DJ is practice. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Just practice and put a lot of time into it. And, I mean, just have your heart into it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you just gotta put a lot of time, a lot of work, and a lot of heart into it.
What matters is what's in your heart and how much work you put into it and how much enjoyment you're getting out of it. And that's pretty much it.
Shortee. Like to with me?
Sure you do. Certainly you do.
Good. You can learn.
Mixing and scratching and beat juggle with the turntable split and the mixer in the middle.
But first we'll discuss
The mixer and the 12.
I'll tell you what we're gonna do.
The second lesson for today is
mixing.
Now, students,
You can learn.
how music is made.
And we want to start just exactly with all the music. Let's start it on key now.
Hey DJ!
You can't get fresher than
DJ.
One.
Yes, well, wicked.
Our third subject for today is
I want the kids to do it.
Now, what shall we
Scratch
today?
Kids, come on. All right, boys and girls.
You're in the record cut like a maniac.
We're going to bring our special guest,
scratching
the drum.
With the turntable.
Check it out.
All right, now, kids.
It's time to juggle. I thought we were studying music.
Yeah, that's right.
Juggle.
I want to encourage you to practice.
Break it down. The beat with your hand.
Come on, kids, now. One more time. Here we go now.
Come back. Bring it back. Come rewind. Rock the house, y'all.
Do you wanna have a party? Shorty, DJ.
One.
You wanna know why? Because Shorty's DJ.
One.
There it is.
There it is, children. children.